Hello students, in the previous class we have learnt about the stress strain diagrams of concrete and steel and the behavior of them. Now in this video we will discuss about the flexure members. We have discussed that a structural member under flexion undergoes deformation and the top fibers are subjected to compression and bottom fibers are subjected to tension. There lies a layer which we call it as a neutral layer where neither the fibers are in tension nor compression. And if we draw a line or axis perpendicular to the layer, then that axis is called as neutral axis. As per the limit state of design, as per the figure I have shown, in that figure if you closely observe, I have mentioned where the compression is there and where the tension zone is there. And I have also mentioned, as per the limit state of design, these stress strain diagrams are used in evaluating the moment of resistance equations. In some of the code books, it is also observed that the stress strain diagram of concrete is taken as a rectangle portion rather than a idealized curve from Indian standard like rectangle and parabola as shown in the figure. So I have shown here a rectangular beam with breadth B and with depth D with some amount of area of steel I have shown there, and I have shown the strain diagram and the stress diagram, and I have also shown you what I have said, a rectangle parabola stress diagram of concrete, and also assumed the rectangle diagram in some of the country codal books. This is only for the reference, but in Indian standard IS 456 we assume that the stress strain diagram of concrete is completely a rectangle and parabola. And the area of the stress strain diagram of concrete is given as 0.36 FCK Bxu, and the center of gravity of compressive force is located at 0.42 XU from the extreme top fiber. If you take a rectangle section of breadth B and depth D, I mean effective depth D, and let us assume the neutral axis depth as XU as shown in the figure, and the stresses in the concrete are 0.45 FCK and 0.87 Fy. These are the design strengths, and let us say a force of C is acting at a distance of 0.42 XU from the top extreme fiber, and the tensile force of T is acting at the steel reinforcement. A resisting force of C is acting at a distance of 0.42 XU from the top most compressive fiber, and let us say capital T, the tensile force or the resistant force is at a distance of small d, which is effective from the same extreme fiber. And let us say FCK and Fy are the characteristic strengths of concrete and steel. And we have derived, or from IS 456, we know that the compressive force which is shown in the figure is 0.36 FCK Bxu, and the tensile force is 0.87 Fy AST. Now, considering the equilibrium of these forces, we can say that total compressive force equals to total tensile force. So when we equate these both equations, we will get XU by D equals to 0.87 Fi by AST into 0.36 FCKBD, which is also given in Annexure G, clause number G.1.1a in page number 96. This equation will give you an idea how to calculate the neutral axis depth of a singly reinforced concrete beam. If you want to calculate the moment which is resisted by the beam, if you want to calculate the moment resisted by this beam, then we know that the moment is given by force into perpendicular distance. Now we have in the diagram two forces, a compressive force C, a tensile force T, which are at a distance of Z, which we call it as a lever arm. There are two couples acting, so the distance between these two couples are Z. So the moment is given by either of this couple and the distance between them. So you can calculate the moment of resistance by either of these forces. So total moment of resistance forces equations or expressions you will get are two. The first equation of expression for moment of resistance using compressive force is 0.36 FCK Bxu into lever arm. 0.36 FCK Bxu is the total compressive force which we have shown above, and the total lever arm which we are calculating here, the tensile force is at a distance of D from extreme top height, and the compressive force is at a distance of 0.42 XU. So if you deduct 0.42 XU from D, then you will get the distance between these two forces, which is nothing but our lever arm. So if you happen to substitute that equation, that D minus 0.42 XU as a lever arm in this equation, you will get moment of resistance as 0.36 FCKB XU D minus 0.42 XU. This equation will give you the moment of resistance of a reinforced cement concrete beam with reference to concrete as a material. Now, as because we have two materials, we also have the other equation which is from using the tensile force. The tensile force is given by 0.87 Fi AST. So if we use the same equation, moment is given by force into perpendicular distance. What is the force? Force is 0.87 Fi AST multiplied by the lever arm. Lever arm is D minus 0.42 XU from the figure. So if you substitute D minus 0.42 XU in this equation, then this equation will become 0.87 Fi AST into D minus 0.42 XU. So this equation is what? This equation will give you the moment of resistance of the RC beam by considering steel as a material. As I said before, we have two equations. One is the moment of resistance by concrete, one is the moment of resistance by steel. This is the second equation which we have derived. Now, we have discussed the neutral axes, that is actual neutral axis and the limiting neutral axis. What is this limiting neutral axis is all about? If you happen to refer limit state of design assumptions. Assumption number 6 for F states that the strain or the ultimate strain in the steel shall not be less than Fy by 1.15 ES plus 0.002. So this means you are not allowing the strain in the steel should not less than that. You are always expecting the strain to be more. So this objective of this is to avoid the brittle fracture in the concrete. In the contrary, if you do it, the concrete will fail first, as because concrete is a very brittle material, entire structure will be collapsed and there will be a huge loss. So it is recommended by the IR 456 that you should always ensure that the ultimate strain in the steel is always greater than this as said in the equation, which is 0.87 Fy by ES plus 0.2%. ES is Young's modulus of elasticity, which you can take as 200 gigapascal. So this equation will give you how to calculate the limiting neutral axis. The previous neutral axis equation gives you the actual neutral axis for a given chosen section, whereas the next neutral axis which we are going to discuss now will give you the limiting, which means your actual neutral axis should always within that neutral axis. It should not exceed. So how do we calculate it? Now if we take a look of the strain diagram which I have shown here, you have ultimate strain in the concrete as 0.0035 and ultimate strain in the steel as just now we have discussed as 0.87 Fy by ES plus 0.2%. So what does this mean? This means that you can correlate the strain values, which means, so from the proportionality of the strains, you can state that XU by D equals to epsilon Cu by epsilon Cu plus epsilon Su. Whereas epsilon Cu is ultimate strain in the concrete and epsilon Su the ultimate strain in the steel. And if you substitute the ultimate strain in the concrete in the above equation, the equation can be simplified to this, where we have even substituted Young's modulus of elasticity as 200 into 10 power 5 Newton per mm square. So this equation will give you the limiting neutral axis depth. If you happen to observe the equation, the limiting neutral axis depth is dependent on two parameters. One is the effective depth, which is directly proportional, and it is indirectly proportional to the yield strength of steel, which is Fy. As per IS 456, we have three grades of steel: Fe 250, Fe 400, Fe 500. If you substitute these grades in this equation, you can say that the maximum limiting values of neutral axis can be obtained, which is also said in clause number 38.1 in page number 7, where for Fy 250 it is given as 0.53 times D. For Fy 415 it is given as 0.48 D. For Fe 500 as 0.460. So if you know the effective depth of a beam and if you know the grade of steel, you can easily calculate the limiting neutral axis depth, where we can avoid the brittle fracture in the concrete. So now we have two neutral axes. One is the actual neutral axis, second one is limiting neutral axis. By comparing these two neutral axes, we can draw three kinds of sections. First section is under reinforced section. Under reinforced section is a section where for a given section dimensions and the area of the steel, if you happen to calculate the actual neutral axis, this neutral axis is always less than the limiting neutral axis. This kind of a section is called as a under reinforced section. In the given diagram, I have shown you the XU max value. What is this XU max value? It is the limiting depth of the concrete beam. Now, the calculated neutral axis is always within the limits of this XU. Steel will start to reach ultimate strain rather than concrete. So what does it mean? Your steel starts to fail. Even though the steel is starting to fail rather than the concrete, we are avoiding the brittle fracture in the concrete. So it gives a pre-notice to the user of the building that the concrete structural member has reached its ultimate value and straining has begun. So it is a caution for the residents to vacate from the building. In contrary, if you do it, the concrete, if it reaches its ultimate strain, then structural element will collapse suddenly because concrete is a brittle material. So it is always ensured that under reinforced section is chosen for all the design's purposes. As because steel is reaching to its ultimate value, as because the ultimate strain in the steel has reached first, so in the calculation purposes, moment of resistance of steel is taken. 0.87 Fy AST into D minus 0.42 XU. The first bracket will give you the force. The next bracket will give you the lever arm. The starting term which is in the bracket is a tensile force, and the next bracket is nothing but the lever arm, which we have discussed in previous slide. So there can also be a chance where XU will be more than XU max, XU will also can be equal to XU max. This can be discussed in the later slides. But the same equation which is shown here is also used in IS 456 in page number 96 G 1.1.1 clause. Rather, in that equation, the IS 456 substituted XU in place of in the equation MU. Now let us consider another criteria where the actual neutral axis is exactly equal to the limiting neutral axis. This will not happen at all, but in the design purposes, we can choose the all sections as balanced section. Balanced sections will give you less reinforcement so that the cost of construction can be reduced. Now what is this balanced section is all about? The ultimate strains in both the materials, concrete and steel, will reach simultaneously. So IS code has recommended to take the moment of resistance equation by choosing concrete as a material. And the equation is given by 0.36 FCK B XU max into lever arm D minus 0.42 XU max. it is recommended by the IS 456 when you are choosing a balance section, you should always consider limiting neutral axis for all the calculations and design purposes. From clause 38.1, page number 70 in IS 456, for grade of FI 250, it is said limiting neutral axis depth x max by d is given by 0.53. So from this, x max can be written as 0.53 times d. 0.53 times d, if you substitute in moment of resistance equation, then that equation can be further reduced. In the same manner, it can be done for grade 415 and grade 500. The same above equations is also showed in page number 96 in Annexure G of IS 456. For grade FI 250, moment of resistance value will become 0.4149 FCK BD square, and for grade 415 steel, the moment of resistance for balance section will become as 0.138 BD square. And if you take grade 500, then moment of resistance for balance section is simplified to 0.133 FCK BD square. When your actual neutral axis exceeds the limiting neutral axis. This is always a catastrophic to consider this section for the designs, because your neutral axis depth is exceeding the limiting neutral axis depth which is prescribed. So you should expect the failure of the concrete first. So these are the sections where the ultimate strain in the concrete is reached first rather than the steel alone. As we know that the concrete is a very brittle material, and if you notice that the concrete is failing first, the designer should always discard these kind of sections. It should always ensure that the neutral axis is within the limiting neutral axis depth prescribed. So these kind of sections should always be redesigned. But however, you can calculate the moment of resistance of these sections using the same equation which is said for the balanced section. So in the code itself, in clause number Annexure G, page number 96, it was said that these sections should be always be redesigned. When we are designing a reinforced concrete beam, the width, depth and reinforcements are very important. How much we are choosing, how much spacing we are choosing, how much dia we are choosing it, these are all very important parameters. Here are few highlights I have provided from the IS 456 alone. The maximum percentage of steel which was set by IS code should not be more than 4% of gross area. The minimum area of steel is also mentioned in the same clause. At least 2 number of bars should be provided in the tension and not more than 6 bars in one layer in a beam. And if you are using hanger bars, you should not use not less than 10 mm diameter as hanger bars and not less than 12 mm bars as tensile reinforcement. The width of beam is always dependent on the number of bars you have provided, the cover you have provided and the minimum spacing requirements which need to be fulfilled from IS 456 subsequent clauses. When you are supposed to design structural elements where it is prone to coastal areas, where you have a huge salted effect, then you should ensure that your cover shall be increased by at least 5 to 10%. Clause number 25.3.1, minimum distance of bars is given as the maximum dia of the bar in the tensile reinforcement or the maximum size of the aggregate plus 5 mm. The subsequent clauses against each point I have noted here. The maximum size of the aggregate is always limited to 20 mm. And the maximum clear distance is 25 mm between two bars. The depth of beam is always dependent on L/D ratio, which is kept in order to control the deflection of the beam. And there are subsequent clauses which refer to it, where in IS 456 it was said that for a cantilever beam, this much should be the L/D ratio. For simply supported beam, this much should be the L/D ratio. They have clearly mentioned it. I'll show the reference clauses. Please go and look at clause number 23.2.1 in page number 57. Usually, when we are designing, the widths of beams are taken as 150, 200, 230, 250 and 300. Perhaps you may be thinking, what is the parameter of deciding width of the beam? The width of the beam is decided based upon the width of the masonry or the brick. If you have a brick size of 300 mm, it is always chosen the same width for the beam. And often these values of dimensions, whether it can be breadth and depth, is chosen in multiples of 25. Here are few problems we will be working out. I have decided total 10 problems shall be discussed along with you. I myself will be solving at least 4 out of them. Rest of them shall be solved from your side as an assignment. If you have any doubts, please keep a mail to me. Please be in contact with me. Thank you.